My name is Carol Washington. Most people call me C. I am 67 years old. I live in the Bronx, and for 30 years I was a hospice nurse with the Visiting Nurse Service of New York. I went into people's homes on the hardest days of their lives. I held hands that were already cooling. I was there when the breathing changed, when the eyes went somewhere else, when the room shifted in a way you cannot explain and can never quite forget. 30 years, hundreds of people, and I am going to be honest with you about something I never said out loud during all those years. I did not know what happened next. That changed on September 11th, 2023. And everything I am about to tell you is exactly true. I was not a woman who dismissed spiritual things. I had been raised in the church. I had a faith life that was real to me. But I was also a nurse, a practical woman. When it came to what follows death, I told myself what careful, educated people tell themselves. The honest answer is, we do not know. There was a private version of that uncertainty that was more painful than I ever admitted. It was about my mother. Her name was Edna Washington. Sharp-tongued, quick-witted, a reader of 2 newspapers a day until the day she could not anymore. She developed Alzheimer's in her early 70s. I watched that disease take her in pieces, and I mourned her while she was still there. In her final months, she would have what the nurses on her unit called clearing episodes. She would become completely herself, and she would be talking to people no one else could see. She would reach out and touch empty air and smile. She would say things like, "There you are, I have been waiting." I sat with her through these episodes, held her hand, watched her face light up in ways it had not lit in years. And I told myself what I had trained myself to say. This is the brain. This is what the dying brain does. It constructs what it needs. I believed it, mostly. But there was a part of me that wondered. A part of me that felt, sitting in that room, watching my mother's face go luminous, talking to empty air, that maybe I was the one who was missing something. Maybe she could see something I could not. I never let that thought finish. I folded it up and put it away, the way you do with things that are too large to look at directly. My mother died on a Tuesday morning in October. She had been smiling at the end. I thanked the nurse and went and sat in my car for a long time. The question I had never answered sat in the passenger seat beside me. She had been gone 8 years by the time my own body tried to follow her. September 11th, 2023 started as a routine Tuesday. I had retired from the VNS 4 years earlier. I drove myself to Montefiore for a 10-minute UTI follow-up. I parked. I walked in. I sat down and picked up a magazine I had no intention of reading. I felt suddenly very warm, then very cold, then something else, a kind of internal pressure, the volume on the world turning down, as if someone was rotating a dial from the inside. I could not read the words on the magazine cover. I did not feel afraid. There was something quieter than fear, a loosening, as if something held very tight for a very long time was beginning to let go. I heard someone call a name that might have been mine, and then the world went somewhere else. I went somewhere else. I am going to describe what I experienced with as much precision as I can, because precision matters to me. I was a nurse. I believe in accurate reporting. There is no transition. One moment the world is the waiting room at Montefiore, and the next moment I am somewhere that has no name in English. I do not pass through darkness. I simply arrive. And what I arrive in is light. But that word is not accurate, because light implies a source, implies a direction. This is a condition. It is the medium itself, the way air is the medium here. The warmth of it is the most specific thing I can tell you. It is not the warmth of temperature. It is the warmth of being known. As if every cell of whatever I am in that moment is recognized. And she is there, my mother, not the woman she was in those last years. This is Edna Washington as I knew her when I was 8 years old. She is wearing the yellow dress she wore on Sunday mornings, the one with the small white buttons at the collar. Her eyes are completely clear. Her face is completely herself. She does not speak. What happens is more like a thought that arrives already complete, the way you sometimes wake from a dream, knowing something without knowing how. The information is simply there, whole and certain, before I have time to resist it. She shows me. The clearing episodes were real, not hallucination. She was already at the edge of the door, already beginning to perceive what was waiting on the other side, the people she was reaching toward. They were there. The smile on her face in those final hours was not the smile of confusion. It was the smile of someone who, after a very long wait, finally sees the person they have been watching for. I had told families for 30 years, it is the brain. It is what the brain does. It is not real. And now my mother is standing in front of me in her yellow Sunday dress, completely herself, and she is telling me it was real, all of it. Then I see the patients, a series of images, rapid and certain, each one complete. The faces of the people I cared for over 30 years, men and women I had sat with, hands I had held. With each face comes the same unshakable certainty. Not one of them was lost, not one. Every single one was received. They walked through a door that had been standing open, and on the other side of it was love. I had spent 30 years watching arrivals from the wrong side of the door. Then my mother shows me a card, a birthday card, pale blue, the kind you find at a drugstore. I know immediately what it is. A card I wrote to her in 1987 when I was 28 and she was turning 53. I had forgotten about it completely. She shows me where it is, inside her Bible, dark green with gilt lettering, on the third shelf of the bookcase in the room that used to be mine as a child. She had kept that card inside the Bible for 36 years. Then she recedes. Not gone, she recedes the way music recedes when you move away from it. I am aware, with a completeness that feels like grief, that I am going back. I did not want to return, not because I was unhappy with my life, but because what I was in was so much more than what I had been living inside. Going back felt like leaving the sun to go sit in a room with one lamp. Voices, the urgency in them that I recognize from 30 years of standing in rooms where urgency was necessary. Cold air, the ceiling of the Montefiore emergency department above me. Someone saying my name. Someone saying, "Stay with us, C." The doctors told me my heart had stopped for 6 minutes and 18 seconds. Urosepsis. The UTI had gone systemic in a way neither my doctor nor I had anticipated. One of the nurses told me I was lucky. I did not feel lucky. I felt like someone who had been somewhere extraordinary and been asked to come home and describe it to people who had never left the house. But I was already thinking about the Bible on the third shelf. They kept me at Montefiore for 4 days. Septic shock requires monitoring, IV antibiotics, time for the system to restabilize. My sister Yvonne came the first day. Yvonne is my younger sister by 3 years, an accountant, the most practical person I have ever known. She sat beside my bed and looked at me the way she does when she is assessing a situation. Careful, a little skeptical, deciding how worried to be. I told her everything, the light, the warmth of being known. Mama in her yellow Sunday dress, eyes clear, completely herself. The clearing episodes being real, every patient received. And then I told her about the card. I told her I had written a birthday card to Mama in 1987 when she was turning 53. That Mama had kept it inside her Bible, the dark green one with gilt lettering, on the third shelf of the bookcase in what used to be my room. Yvonne was quiet. Then she said, "You have not been to that apartment since we cleaned it out after she died." I said, "I know." She said, "The Bible is at my house. I kept it." A pause. "See, Mama always said she was saving a card you wrote her. She never told me where." Another pause. I never looked inside. She brought the Bible to me the next afternoon. I opened it slowly. Tucked between the last pages of Revelation and the inside back cover was an envelope, pale blue. My handwriting on the front, from Mama, 1987. Yvonne sat down. She did not say anything for a long time. Then quietly, "How do you know that, C?" I said. She showed me. I watched my sister's face do something I have not seen it do very often in 64 years of knowing her. It went very still, and then it opened, the way a room opens when you raise the blinds. She pressed her lips together. She nodded once, slowly, and then she put her hand over mine on the Bible and held it there. That is the moment I want you to understand. Not the light, not even my mother in her yellow dress. This, my practical, skeptical sister sitting in a hospital room in the Bronx with her hand over mine, unable to explain what she was holding. If you are carrying the weight of someone you have lost, if there are mornings when the quiet in the house is louder than anything else, I want you to know what I know now. They are still close, closer than the silence makes them feel. Someone put together a little book for exactly this kind of night. It is called "They Are Never Truly Gone. Signs Your Loved Ones Are Still With You." Not a program, not a checklist, just a small, honest book written for the person who needs to know that the connection does not end at the body. It is in the first pinned comment below this video, the very first thing you will see when you scroll down. It will not be at this price for long. If this story opens something in you, please go look at it before you close this tab. It has helped people who were not sleeping, not eating, not finding their way through. It may be exactly what tonight needs. I spent 30 years watching people die. I held their hands. I stayed in the room. I was compassionate. I was skilled. I was present. But I was watching from the wrong side. I thought I was accompanying people to an ending. I was not. I was accompanying them to a threshold I could not see past. Not because it was not there, but because I was standing on the wrong side of it. Now I know what those patients were going toward. That look they get in their final hours. Eyes going somewhere else, talking to people no one else can see. It is not the brain failing. It is the person arriving. It is the first glimpse of the welcome already prepared for them. Not one of them died alone. Not one. Every person I sat with in 30 years of hospice nursing, every hand I held while the breathing changed, not one of them arrived at an ending. Every single one arrived at a beginning. Received, known, welcomed by the same warmth I stood inside for 6 minutes and 18 seconds on a Tuesday morning in September. There is one more thing I want to say before I close, and I want to say it as plainly as I know how. We are held. We have always been held. And when our chapter here is complete, what we return to is not silence, not darkness, not absence. It is the love that was present at our first breath and has been present in every moment since, waiting with arms already open, on the other side of every door I ever watched a patient walk through. It knows our names, every one of them, including yours.